Bradley Smith, watch out for him as well. Now, it was a bit of a struggle in the qualifying session. Didn't feel quite so comfortable with his second new tyre as he did with the first. Having said that, he was still only half a second slower than pole position and ends up 9th on the grid. That shows you just how tight it was yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, another man that fell twice on Friday in the rain. 10th in the World Championship. 2 podiums here, both in the 125cc class, and an important last 6 races for Bradley Smith. Now he's got that new contract with Tech 3.
Guys, I'm just going to bring you back to the front of the grid. I'm here with Francesco Guidotti from the Pramac Racing Team. Francesco, big day for Andrea here. Have you had to calm him down to tell him, look, relax, take it easy?
Yeah, for sure it's a big pressure on the home race. It's always special. The feeling is good. There's a lot of crowd. For sure, he would make them happy, and we will see. Yeah, no, he know it's not the first time he has this kind of pressure, and he should manage it.
Right, thank you very much, Francesco.
Well, there's his teammate, Yoni Hernandez. He's had a really good weekend, the Colombian. So impressive in the wet. Led the way on Friday morning, second on Friday afternoon. Went straight into qualifying 2, didn't he, in the dry. And he's qualified on that 4th row in 11th place.
Yeah, brilliant stuff for the Colombian from Medellin. They'll be really looking for a strong afternoon, won't they? And don't forget, Dylan spotted that he's on the soft compound tyre as well, and the only one of the riders to do so. Let's just see, as long as he doesn't change on the grid, of course.
No. So Hernandez is still with the soft, but Aleix on the list had been with the medium, but his team now have decided to go with the soft rear.
So look out from the start for Aleix Espargaro, certainly from that 3rd row of the grid on that Forward Racing Yamaha. There was Alvaro Bautista. He's a former 250cc winner here. Hasn't been the easiest of weekends for him, but he's 11th in the World Championship. And it'll be interesting to see where he ends up. Very tough weekend for Cal Crutchlow. He's a former World Supersport winner here in 2009. He's qualified on that 5th row of the grid, and, well, it was a difficult qualifying 1 session for him, wasn't it? When he sat it out and watched Hernandez and Bradl go through.
Yeah, that was a frustrating situation. They obviously felt they'd done enough, but he was helpless, wasn't he? He didn't go back out there. There was about a minute to go on the clock, and the timing screen started to light up, didn't it, with fastest sector time. So Crutchlow starting this race 13th on the grid. Just to the right, as we saw Cal Crutchlow, leaning over the pit wall, was Michael Bartolami, head of the marked VDS team, and very much connected with this man at the moment.
Certainly is. I mean, the word is that Mark VDS will bring in a MotoGP team. And there's the man with the money, Mark van der Straten. I think that's what the discussions are all about at the moment with Scott Redding. That has not been decided yet. Wasn't the easiest for Scott Redding. He did crash out in qualifying 1. And alongside him on that 5th row of the grid, Hiroshi Oyama, who finished 2nd here in 2007, behind the race winner in the 250cc class. And who was the race winner 2007? Jorge Lorenzo.
Yeah, surprise there. Brilliant record, isn't it, for Lorenzo here? But there's the man they all really want to be winning.
You call that a sea of yellow, don't you? It certainly is a sea of yellow. That's coming up to the Rio corner there at the right. It's 4 and 5.
And that's what we were talking about, this circuit being one of the smallest areas, one of the smallest sites. You can see those green walls. They are the literal boundaries of the circuit. It's certainly one of the smaller circuits here.
This is Leon Camia, continues to replace Nicky Hayden, who could be back in action at Aragon. His 4th MotoGP race. He's ridden here in World Superbike on 3 separate occasions. It was interesting talking to all the other riders yesterday. They were saying how difficult it must be for him riding a MotoGP bike because he is so tall. And it definitely is a disadvantage. Kyle Abraham, he's alongside Leon Camia on that 6th row of the grid. He has qualified in 17th place. And there he is, Michael Lafferty, younger brother Eugene, supporting him. Great racing family. And he has ridden really well this season, and certainly the last 6 races. It's very, very tough indeed being at that end of the field and not even really with an open class bike. Alex Angelis, the only rider from San Marino. He has ridden here twice before in MotoGP, but he has crashed out on both occasions. He is qualified in 19th place.
So just minutes to go there now. 5 minutes to go to be precise. In 2, 1. That safety car will pull away. There we go, right on cue. 5-minute board goes up. It's easy to get that confused because it says 3 minutes on the reverse side, but don't forget it's 5 minutes for the...
Guess who's had that confused in the past, can't you? Sitting alongside you at the moment.
And the person sitting alongside you has done exactly the same thing.
Not easy. There's the safety car throughs up 1, 2 and 3. And the helicopter overhead. Great atmosphere, an electric atmosphere here. As I say, it's not the biggest of circuits, but they absolutely pack in. Brock Parks, the World Supersport winner here just 3 years ago, the Australian. Of course, his debut season in a MotoGP, riding that PBM machine.
And Hector Barbera as well. Don't forget, we've seen an announcement for Avintia. They'll be riding with Ducati machinery for the next 2 years. Another clever move then by Gigi Dall'Igna, because that'll be the only team running next year at least with the open software. And don't forget, everybody's essentially going open in 2016. Big year with a new tyre supplier as well. Will Barbera even be on a Ducati from as early as the next Grand Prix in Aragon? They're going to go testing and we will see. If it's not Aragon, it'll probably then be Japan at the start of the flyaway. So Barbera 21st on the grid. His teammate Mike Demeglio, the former 125 champion, behind him 22nd. And then this man Danilo Petrucci at the back of the field. But brilliant in the wet on Friday, 5th quickest overall.
Yeah, major problems for them in qualifying, wasn't it? So the stage is set for round 13 of the championship, and that's the big news as far as tyre choice goes.
Yeah, Jorge Lorenzo then that harder compound front tyre. So it's the harder compound front for the pole man. Very, very interesting situation indeed. In theory then, a little bit more braking stability hopefully, but would he be affected by the lack of edge grip? We shall see very soon indeed.
Front row of the grid then, round 13 of the championship. It's Valentino Rossi, Andrea Iannone, but in pole position for the first time this season, Jorge Lorenzo. So welcome back to Misano. I'm Nick Harris, sitting alongside me, Gregory Haynes. Down in pit lane, Dylan Gray. Round 13 of the MotoGP World Championship.
Yeah, Lorenzo's first pole position of the 2014 season. 3rd front row start for Iannone, and Rossi's first front row since 2013. Marquez and Pedrosa, no Honda on the first row of the grid since the end of 2010. Dovizioso only 2/10 down, but finds himself 6th on the grid. What a lineup up there.
3rd row of the grid, the 2 Espargaro brothers, Paul Espargaro and Aleix Espargaro, and then Bradley Smith. 4th row, Stefan Bradl, Jonia Hernandez, and Alvaro Bautista, a former 250cc winner here.
Yeah, Cal Crutchlow and Ducati were caught out at the end of Q1 qualifying. They thought they'd done enough to go through to Q2, but they hadn't. Hernandez and Bradl both improved. So Crutchlow 13th from Redding and Hiroshi Oyama. Leon Camier 16th from Carol Abraham. The first of the PBM riders is Michael Laverty. So he's out-qualified his teammate Brock Parks once again, so moves one ahead now in their personal qualifying battle. Towards the back then of this 23 rider field, it's De Angelis, San Marino Grand Prix and San Marino rider, Parks, Barbera, Demeglio, and the final of the Italians, Mike Demeglio, Danilo Petrucci at the back of the grid.
Marc Marquez will start from the 2nd row of the grid for the first time for over a year. Jorge Lorenzo starts from pole for the first time this season. Valentino Rossi, the local man, starts from pole for the first time this season. Perfect conditions. Dylan, we don't really need to come down to you to ask you about the weather, but the heat could play a part.
Because you know what, it is, I mean, it is absolutely baking. Bridgestone said, look, it's not quite hot enough for anyone to consider the harder option rear tyre. So in a way, that's great news because we're not going to have big discrepancies there. But we do have a good track temperature. It is hotter than it has been so far. And we do know that when it warms up, it can often play into the Honda's favour. And as we've seen, the Hondas aren't exactly, haven't had the best weekend so far. So I do imagine that we'll see them that little bit stronger come the race.
That's the attendance today, nearly 55,000 people, and that's almost as many as you can get in here. So as I say, it's a small circuit. Many of them on those grass banks around the Cavoni corner. And they will be supporting Andrea Dovizioso, but if they're really deep in their hearts, there's only one man they're really supporting in this part of the world. And it's a gentleman by the name of Valentino Rossi.
Now don't forget your pulse hitter. Jorge Lorenzo is on the harder compound front tyre from Bridgestone. We've been given the tyre sheet here from Bridgestone, just running quickly through it. Those who can run the soft tyre, who are not, according to this, are Dovizioso, Crutchlow, Iannone and Alex De Angelis. Alex De Angelis then on the medium as well.
So this is the warm-up lap, their last look at the circuit. Perfect conditions. There's the championship positions. 89 points between Marquez and Pedrosa, and Rossi in 3rd place. So it's round 13 of the MotoGP World Championship. This could be the race of the season. Marc Marquez from the second row of the grid for the first time for over a year. Jorge Lorenzo in pole position for the first time this season. Alongside him on the front row, Andrea Iannone and Valentino Rossi. The first front row start for Rossi. Yamaha versus Honda. Don't rule out Ducati. 28 laps of the Misano World Circuit. Marco Simoncelli. Green flag has been showed. Lights will go on. The sun is shining. And we're underway.
So Lorenzo's first pole position of the season. Strong start by Crutchlow, shooting down the pit wall on the inside. What's the order down into turn one? Rossi's away very well indeed. He's up the inside. It's a Yamaha 1-2 for the time being. Iannone boxed in there behind Valentino Rossi. And Pol Espargaro on the inside. Dani Pedrosa has not had the best of starts. Marquez has had a very good start and moves up into third ahead of Iannone. But it's a Yamaha 1-2.
What an aggressive start from Marc Marquez from the second row. He shoved Andrea Iannone out of the way, but the two Yamahas lead the way. Marquez didn't want to let them get away, and they have not got away. Good start also from Dovizioso, but it's Lorenzo chasing that fourth successive win here at Misano down at Crutchlow.
Mike D'Ameglio out of the race already, I'm afraid, so one faller of the 23 runners. Looking back then from the Yamaha to Marc Marquez, a very strong start indeed, and he's now chasing Valentino Rossi up to Tramonto for the first time. It is Lorenzo with the harder compound front tyre. Watch out for that. Then Rossi, Marquez, Iannone, Dovi, all streaming through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Up towards the Cavoni corner, one of the fastest bends in Grand Prix racing, around 260 kilometres an hour. Then it tightens up through 13. 14 down towards the Caro corner. Rossi at last a front row start for the 9 times world champion. That's where he wanted to be. Very aggressive from Marquez. He knew the Yamahas couldn't get away, and he is after Rossi as we go through the Caro corner.
He's after both of them, and don't forget, Marquez suggested after qualifying yesterday that being on fourth on the grid, he'd actually sacrificed a little bit of speed towards the end of Q2 to fine-tune more the dry weather setup after all of the rain that we had here on Friday. Lap 2 then, still 27 to go. Lorenzo, Rossi right with him, and Marquez there as well. Look at them, it's like one long 6-wheeled bike.
Marquez, that is a great start from the second row of the grid. He's exactly poised where he wants to be. And you've got to say, of course, it's a great start for the Yamahas as well. Iannone coming under pressure from Andrea Dovizioso. We ride with Jorge Lorenzo. This is up at the Rio corner. Right in his face is Valentino Rossi. Marquez is there. They're already opening up an advantage from the two Ducatis, led by Iannone. Then Dovizioso, Pol Espargaro, Dani Pedrosa, Bradley Smith, Aleix Espargaro, and Stefan Bradl. That is your top 10.
Don't forget Yamaha, yet a win to a Grand Prix in the 2014 season. 50 years ago yesterday, since their very first World Championship win in the 250 class in 1964 with Phil Reed. Danilo Petrucci out of the race as well, and now Marquez is attacking Rossi up at Tramonto. Brave move, a late cut inside, and he's through.
Very aggressive again. Now Rossi's going to fight back. Side by side they're going to come. 260, 270 kilometres an hour, and Rossi back at him at Cavoni.
He's having absolutely none of it. He knows he's got to keep Marquez behind, because how many times have we seen him punch through and then disappear? I tell you what though, Lorenzo at the moment, don't forget he's got the hard compound front on board. He's slowing them down, and look, he's slightly wide around the right-hander at Caro.
Again, Marquez all over the rear wheel of Valentino Rossi. This is turn 15 as we ride with Rossi. We then come up to 16, the Misano corner leads them back into the start and finish straight. 26 laps to go. This race is not going to let us down, is it?
I don't think it will. We certainly didn't think it would, did we? Coming into there, look, fastest lap for Lorenzo, then Rossi, then Marquez. Marquez now on the outside of Rossi. That's not going to work this time, Mark, I don't think. Into the park chicane. No, it doesn't.
So Lorenzo leads the way up towards the Rio corner. This is turn 4, then turn 5. It's a difficult flick as they come through a 6. And Marquez again up the inside. This time he's made it stick because Rossi a little bit wide. Rossi has to sit up. Can Rossi get back in? But almost immediately. This is turn 6. They come down a little short straight, then flick it left down towards Crutchlow. Rossi lines him up through turn 7. Rossi fights back. He's well placed for Crutchlow, and Rossi back into second place.
Yeah, once again, he knew he needed to get great traction out of turn 6. Listen to the crowd. They're going absolutely crazy. Rossi retakes second place then from Marc Marquez. And of course, what happens? It allows Lorenzo to break up. Just a bit of a buffer there between himself and his teammate. Thank you very much, he says.
And Marquez is going to come back at him immediately through Tramonto up towards Cavoni. Lorenzo leads away. Look out for Marquez here. Come like a cork out of the bottle here. He's not quite close enough. 35 years old, Valentino Rossi. He can battle with the best of the 21-year-olds that are going his way. Tremendous stuff. Lorenzo just sitting there at the moment, probably not realising exactly what is going on behind him.
In the meantime, this is the battle going on for 4th place. We were on board there with Dovizioso. There he is. Red Ducati number 4, right up behind the Pramac bike of Andrea Iannone. Teammates next year in the factory team. And watch for Pedrosa as well. He's closing right in now on these 2 Ducatis. 4th, 5th, 6th out of the final corner.
Yeah, it sums up Danny Pedrosa a little bit, though, that start. And that means that he's going to have to work mighty hard to get past the 2 Ducatis. And he's probably not going to catch the men at the front, is he? Good job being done at the moment by Andrea Iannone. Dovizioso cannot get past him. We then have Paul Espargaro, Stefan Bradler, Leighton Espargaro, Bradley Smith, Hernandez, Crutchlow, Bautista, Oyama, and Karel Abraham at the moment in 15th place.
It was a great start from Leon Camier as well, by the way. He was up to 13th place briefly from 16th on the grid. He's lost a few more now. They're back down to 17th. Back at the front. Rossi's now attacking. Now listen to the crowd go mad. Rossi leads at Misano. But for how long? That's the question.
Lorenzo fights back immediately. Rossi back at it. This is a typical MotoGP race in the early stages. Side by side as they come out of Tramonto. They want to be careful, the 2 Yamaha riders. Marquez thinking, well, let them get on with it. I'll just stay back there and see what happens. So it's Rossi now leading the way from Lorenzo. Marquez in 3rd place. Rossi, this is the best chance he's going to have to win a Grand Prix race this season. No, I don't blame you. I wouldn't watch it. I was in that
Marquez now. Sorry, Nick. Marquez now on the inside of Lorenzo. Up into 2nd, but not for long. Can Lorenzo cut back? No, he can't. So now then it's Rossi, Marquez, Lorenzo, 1, 2, 3. So the order just changing all the time. Pedrosa, by the way, up into 5th. He split those Ducatis. He's passed Dovizioso. Oh, and a bit of a moment there for Rossi out of that final corner. Can Lorenzo now just keep up with these 2? Don't forget, it's the harder compound front. Look at all the fastest laps flashing up down the left-hand side.
24 laps to go. We could do more of this for 24 laps. Marquez up into 2nd place. The fastest lap confirmed at 1:34. 1:08 for Marc Marquez. We ride with him. That is Valentino Rossi in front of him. They're up at the Rio corner. He really closes up on the brake. Runs it a little bit wide. You're going to see Lorenzo come through. He's just lining it up perfect, though. Probably doing him in mid-surface, saying is run it wide. Look at the throttle. Look at the brake. Obviously very similar indeed as they go through this turn 7, this little left-hand kink for the left-hander at Leclerco.
And how close behind us is Jorge Lorenzo? I was wondering as well for a moment there at Rio, would we see a front wheel of the Yamaha? Remember back in Qatar we saw that, didn't we? Marquez ran wide and Rossi's just appeared on the right-hand side. For now, though, it's still Rossi, Marquez and Lorenzo. Who's braking earliest down at Tramonto? Apply the throttle.
Rossi leads the way, fastest part of the circuit into Cavoni. And there's a series of right-handers that get tighter and tighter. That's the gap as we stand at the moment, around 0.3 of a second. Marquez, who finished 2nd last year, to Lorenzo currently in 2nd place. Lorenzo working very hard indeed to stay with the 2 at the front. Through the Caro corner, 2 left-handers and then would bring them back into the start and finish.
This place is going to go absolutely mad if Rossi wins this afternoon. Don't forget, no win since Assen last year. Hasn't won at home in Italy since right here at Misano 5 years ago in 2009. So out of the final corner, still 23 to go here. This is only lap 6 of 28 in the San Marino Grand Prix. Once again, though, Marquez closing right in. This is where the Yamaha riders keep insisting they need to improve. That Honda is so strong under braking with that seamless transmission system. It's not just brilliant on the upshifts, it's the downshifts as well.
Past his fan club away to the left there up at the Rio corner for Valentino Rossi.
Well, a bit of a frown there for Santi Hernandez, wasn't it? Marc Marquez's crew chief in the background. What's going on? Pedrosa still in front of Dovizioso. Iannone still holding 4th place. There they are, just flashing through the shot in the background. Paul Espargaro still 7th from Bradle Smith, and Aleix Espargaro is 10th.
As Iannone, I got to say, I thought that he might succumb to Andrea Dovizioso and Danny Pedrosa a little bit more quicker than he has, but he's not, and he's doing a really top-class job. Lorenzo's having to work hard to hang in there at the moment. Dylan, obviously that harder compound choice, well, the harder choice of a front tyre, will that make a difference? Should it, will improve for him?
Certainly, because you know, obviously he's going to have that tiny little bit less edge grip than those front runners at the moment, but think back to Brno, where he also made a different choice on the front tyre. Once the fuel load comes down and the other guy's front tyre wears off that little bit, we might see Lorenzo come back a little bit stronger. However, he's still going to have to try and stick with them. You know, he can't just drop off, because, you know, if he does make up a bit of time, it's not going to be an awful lot on the likes of Valentino Rossi and Marc Marquez.
There is Rossi leading the way into turn 1. Brilliant on-board stuff. It's when the sky is blue, just makes it fantastic. Iannone still holding off Dani Pedrosa and Andrea Dovizioso. That's 4th, 5th and 6th.
And further down, who else is in the points? Well, Crutchlow is 11th for Menendez. Bautista, Hiroshi Oyama, Abraham on target for a point at the moment then for Cardion AB. Back at the front, they crossed the line, 0.2 of a second between Rossi and Marquez. Lorenzo 0.7 behind Marquez now in that battle for second and third places. We're going to have to monitor that very, very carefully over the next few laps. Lorenzo at the moment dropping back from these two at the front of the grid. Dovizioso's pace is very good, by the way. In 6th place, he's just put in his best lap of the Grand Prix so far, trying to hold on to the back of Pedrosa.
And Dylan's obviously spot on. It's very important now for Jorge Lorenzo to hang on to these two at the front, as they will disappear. And whatever tyre choice he's made, and however he may get better grip at the end, it will be too late, won't it?
I mean, he's already shown that he can do incredibly good race pace with it. Free practice 4, he actually went faster with the harder option front than he did with the medium tyre. So we've got to remember, obviously they do still have that higher fuel load at the moment. So, you know, we just have to keep an eye out for when that drops in, maybe 5 or 7 laps time a bit more.
The whole of Italy's come to a halt now, hasn't it? Valentino Rossi leads the Grand Prix, and it's his home Grand Prix, and he's beating Marc Marquez. Here comes Marquez on the brakes into turn 15, and then into 16, the Misano corner. They cross the line 21 laps ago. Long way to go still. Just settled down momentarily, hasn't it? We've had the sparks at the early stages. Now we wait and see. You know, doing a great job in 4th place, still holding off Dani Pedrosa and Andrea Dovizioso. And we have Paul Espargaro, Bradley Smith has got in front of Alicia Espargaro, and Cal Crutchlow completing that top 10. Here comes Dani Pedrosa. No way back there for Andrea Iannone. That's very aggressive, and he pushed Iannone out of the way, and he opened the door for Dovizioso to come through as well. I don't think he'd be too happy about that, Andrea Iannone. He only knows one way to fight back, and that's probably exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah, bad news for LCR fans as well. Stefan Bradl's crashed out of this race. That's 3 retirements then now. Meantime, back up to Tremonto. Look at this. Rossi leads. Marquez second. I'm sure those in positions of power around here might be considering a day of national holiday tomorrow if Valentino Rossi takes the checkered flag.
Rossi still leads the way into Cavoni, half a lap round. This is 20 and a half laps to go. This is not the quiet before the storm, but it's going to be interesting to see. Marquez looks pretty comfortable there in 2nd place at the moment, and Lorenzo is hanging in there. He's hanging in there just, and we have another 4. Well, sorry, that is the replay, as you said. Yeah. It's Stefan Bradley who's gone down. He's having a tough old time since he announced he was going to leave the LCR team. Difficult for Lorenzo, isn't it? He doesn't want to see that gap get too big. And if he does get too big, it could be, well, not curtains for him. But Rossi still leads the way. Round the right-hander, then he flicks it left. Marquez hanging in there. Still a long way to go, but Valentino Rossi leads in Italy.
So back into rear. Did you see last time around they came into turn 13? Marquez just a fraction wide. He had some small front-end correction for Marquez. Lost a little bit of ground then to Valentino Rossi. Still 20 to go here. The gap at the front is just under half a second. Lorenzo is now 1.2 seconds behind Marc Marquez. He's got to keep up. He's up to 1.3 now. Top left of the screen. That's your live gap at the end of sector 1. Lap split into 4 parts as ever. Here's your amazing fight going on at the front. They've battled already this year in Catalonia, and in particular in Qatar at the start of the season.
And there's always been the same winner, hasn't there? As I say, there's a 14-year age gap between them. Rossi's riding like a teenager, isn't he? This is where he grew up, around the streets around here, riding a scooter, riding a moped, and then on the go-kart tracks, on the mini bikes, before he started racing under the tutelage of his dad, Graziano. Let's have a look at these lean angles between the old master and the new pretender.
It'll be interesting to see how competitive Marc Marquez is by the time he's 35. Then we can really compare them a bit better, can't we? Greatness measured also over a period of time, isn't it? And Rossi, they'll be into a 20th season in the World Championship next year. This will turn 16 at the end of the lap. There's Alex Marquez, younger brother, watching on, stepping up from Moto 3 to Moto 2 next year. So there's another Marquez making his way up through the ranks.
Danny Pedrosa, as we saw, has got past Iannone, and also he opened the door for him and he went through as well. And then it is Paul Espargaro and Bradley Smith, the two Tech 3 Yamaha men, 7th and 8th. 9th is Crutchlow. Yoni Hernandez had such a good weekend in 10th place. Bautista getting in front of Aleix Espargaro, who's now down in 12th. And Aleix Espargaro did make that softer choice option, didn't he? And it does appear perhaps the tyres are already starting to go a little bit.
And these two just, oh, and that's Marquez. Marquez is in trouble then on lap 11 of the San Marino Grand Prix, out of 2nd place. Is this the end of the race? He's trying desperately to get the bike going again. Listen to the crowd going mad. Yamaha 1-2, Rossi from Lorenzo. Is he out of the race?
He cannot restart the bike. It's up at turn 4. Let's have a look what happened here.
And I did wonder, just before we went to the replay, I saw something unusual going on. What a strange incident. So fortunate not to be collected by Lorenzo and the rest of the traffic coming through the corner there. On board then with Marc Marquez.
We ride with him. Let's just listen and watch. No great hit. Oh, his dad cannot believe it. Marquez is out of the race. He is out of contention. Those 12 wins that he wants to equal Mick Doohan have disappeared here at Misano. Could it be a Yamaha victory? Could it be a Valentino Rossi victory? Marc Marquez struggling to restart the Honda. Will it start? No, it won't. I think his race is over. Valentino Rossi, over to you at the front.
Unbelievable happening. The crowd is really going crazy now. If they weren't already, he's got it going. Marquez will not drop a lap down. Well, he's back in the race, but it's scant consolation. Every time that he seems to crash out of a race, it seems to happen in Italy, doesn't it?
Yeah, but he's not going to win this one, is he? Now then. The boss of Yamaha Racing just looks on. He cannot believe what is happening in front of him. Valentino Rossi, 35 years old, hasn't won in Italy since 2009 when he won at Misano, has not won a Grand Prix since Assen last year. The only man that's going to spoil the party is his teammate, Jorge Lorenzo.
Right, so the situation is we're on lap 12 of 28, 17 and a half to go now. Rossi leads the way by 2.5 seconds. Lorenzo is second, but on the harder compound front tyre. Here it is with the red band around the sidewall. 46 being informed of the fact that Lorenzo is now second. Pedrosa is now third. Pedrosa is 3.5 seconds almost though, and there he is in the background behind Jorge Lorenzo. Dovizioso still fourth, then Andrea Iannone. Marc Marquez running still in 20th position. He's not crossed the line yet, so he's not far off being a full lap down. There he is crossing the line right now, and he's 1 minute and 14 seconds behind race leader Valentino Rossi.
Well, as amazing as he is, he's not going to win this one, is he? He's not going to pull that sort of advantage. But it's typical Marc Marquez to get back out there as soon as he can. And Caron was a strange accident, wasn't it? Strange crash. You say he did seem to be having a few problems early on. Well, there's never been a greater opportunity to Valentino Rossi to bring Italy to a halt than this one. But what has Lorenzo got left in the locker? But when it mattered, Valentino Rossi was prepared to go head-to-head with Marquez. Now, this is Marquez behind him as we ride with Rossi. Closes up a bit on the braking now. Do we get a really good view? Just front end just seemed to drift away. Dylan.
That's what he hasn't been happy with all race weekend long. You know, we even saw in a qualifying, looking at his replays, that's his one gripe that he's had all weekend, and I think the team thought that they'd almost had it fixed, but you know, clearly just was pushing that a little bit too much.
Danny Pedrosa running in third place. Can he restore a little bit of Honda pride? Right behind him, Andrea Dovizioso. And then you saw Iannone. Another very good ride indeed by Paul Espargaro in 6th. Bradley Smith in 7th. Cal Crutchlow 8th. Bautista moving up into 9th, pushing Yoni Hernandez back to 10th.
And it means Alex De Angelis is on target for a point now in his home San Marino Grand Prix. Leon Camier is still 16th. Marquez continues running down there in 20th place. It'll be interesting to see how far he gets back up the order, a little bit like Jorge Lorenzo after he had that ride through penalty in Austin, Texas. So there it is. Can you believe it? The 46 is leading in Italy. There's the special helmet for this weekend. He's got handprints on there. He's got the paw prints of his 2 dogs.
Look at that lap progression. Lorenzo, they're telling him Pedrosa in second. They're not really saying that Marquez is out. Well, he's not out, but they're, I think, trying to tell him as quickly and as easily as they can that it's obviously Rossi realises that Marquez is a problem for Marquez. Well, if anybody can manage a race at the front, it is Valentino Rossi. We ride with Marquez.
The thing is, if you say Marquez out, you might be giving a little bit of false confidence,
yeah.
false hope. You just got to say, look, here's the nearest guy, which is Lorenzo, and you know he's almost similar on pace. So you know you still got to ride the race as if Marquez was still there.
Yeah, clever board, I would say. Rossi will obviously now fathom out that it's not Marquez that's pushing him; it's Lorenzo. Here is Marquez, currently running in 20th place. Some of those guys that battled so hard at the back there, week after week, are in for a bit of a shock when he comes racing by.
And Andrea Dovizioso trying to make this an even better day for the Italian fans. He's right up behind Danny Pedrosa in the battle for third. You might just see them in the background. He's just put in his fastest lap of the race so far, has Andrea Dovizioso. Only 0.4 of a second then between third and fourth place runners at the moment. You know, and he's still fifth at home. Where are the other home riders looking down the timing screens? Well, as we say, De Angelis, the actual San Marino rider himself, is 15th and in the points. Unfortunately, though, Danilo Petrucci out of the race early on.
Valentino Rossi, first front row start of the season. This is his home Grand Prix. Lives just, he could walk home from here. May have to, the amount of champagne he's going to drink if he wins this one. It's a great start by Jorge Lorenzo. Very good start indeed by Valentino Rossi. But you look at this aggressive move by Marquez. Pushes Andrea Iannone back to fourth place. He didn't want to get stuck behind the Ducatis as those two Yamahas led the way.
And it was very brave as well from Dovizioso to sweep around the outside of both Pedrosa and Pol Espargaro at turn 2. And you'll see that now in the background. Looking back then from Rossi, third on the grid. There's Pedrosa on our right. Dovizioso, the red bike. He's about to go around the outside. Marquez has disappeared off to the right-hand side of the screen. Look at Dovi on the red Ducati, and commitment for Rossi just to sweep back in front of Marquez at that stage of the Grand Prix.
So the replay from turn 6. So the corner, of course, so many problems in the wet on Friday. So many crashes here. As you can see, perfect conditions. Take a breath. I think, can there be any more drama in this race? Problems for Marquez. A crash up at the Rio corner. Dropped him out of second place as he was battling for the lead with Valentino Rossi. Have a look at this gap. Oh, he's just pulled 0.2 of a second back. Jorge Lorenzo, that harder compound choice of front tyre. It should get better for him. He has won here for the last 3 years. Every single person in this crowd, bar about 15 out of the 60,000, want Rossi to win this race. But Lorenzo may not be spent yet, but over 2 seconds. It's a big ask, but we're not at half distance.
You've got to think back to Bruno when he was catching up Danny Pedrosa at the end of the race. That, you know, it also looked unattainable. You know, these things can happen.
Here's the battle for third place between the Repsol Honda of Danny Pedrosa and Andrea Dovizioso. So here is Andrea Iannone. Bradley Smith currently running in 7th place. Be a very good result for him. Then Alvaro Bautista fighting it out with Kel Crutchlow. Bautista now moving 8th, Crutchlow dropped to 9th. You have then Yoni Hernandez, Aleix Espargaro, Hiroshi Oyama, Carol Abraham. Scott Redding should be in 14th place, and Alex De Angelis, the man from San Marino, should pick up that single point as we stand at the moment.
Yes, and this is Yoni Hernandez versus Aleix Espargaro in the battle going on for the final top 10 place. So it's
They're
the
both
Colombian.
on the softer option
They
tyres,
are.
aren't they?
They are indeed. And look at this, Crutchlow right up behind Bautista. So it's Gresini Satellite Honda versus factory option Ducati team entry. We know Crutchlow's not receiving all of the updates now and all of the information that he was earlier in the season, because they know obviously he's heading to a Honda team next year with LCR. So up into Tremonto. By the way, it looks as though Marquez then won't now be winning the world title at Aragon in 2 weeks' time. So it'll carry on into the triple header, perhaps the Japanese Grand Prix later in the season. And isn't it ironic as well that in a season dominated by Honda, they've won every single race so far, the two Yamaha riders are now against each other in Italy.
This is Bautista and Crutchlow. So Indianapolis last year, they had a tremendous battle with Valentino Rossi, I think was involved as well, wasn't it? We ride with Rossi. Well, as we've said, 35 years old, he's the most experienced man in the field. He'll know how to ride a race at the front. His board will tell him exactly where Jorge Lorenzo is. And I think he'll be pretty pleased with the situation so far. We are now under half distance, but there's still a long, long way to go. And Lorenzo has made that choice of a harder combat. First sign of a problem there for Valentino Rossi. That will encourage Jorge Lorenzo.
And just that typical last corner slide. I don't know whether Lorenzo would have been close enough to see it or not, but even so, it is definitely encouraging, isn't it, for everybody on Lorenzo's side of the Yamaha garage. And this looks quite ominous, doesn't it, at the moment for Pedrosa. Is Dovizioso managing to keep up with him? Well, he is. He's 0.2 of a second behind. These improvements from Ducati are remarkable. They're only 9 seconds behind the winner last time out at Silverstone, only 6.8 seconds behind the leader at the moment, and that gap continuing to decrease down towards the Cavone. It's Pedrosa third, then Dovizioso, Iannone fifth, Pol Espargaro, Smith, Crutchlow now moves back ahead of Bautista for eighth, and Anders continues to complete the top 10. But it's Rossi leading then at Misano.
Yeah, good battle for third place. Danny Pedrosa obviously wants to put a Honda on the podium. Dovizioso, of course, wants to put the Ducati on the podium at the front. Rossi, no problems this time around. Let's have a look at the gap this time around. Big thumbs up from the team. The gap is 2.5 seconds, so he's keeping it very constant indeed. Lorenzo is through. Pedrosa leads the way from Dovizioso in their battle for third place as they tip it into 1, 2 and 3.
There's still 12 laps to go in this race. This is only lap 17 of 28, so there's still a long way to go here. Relatively short lap, as we say. It's the 5th shortest circuit on the calendar at 4.2 kilometers, 2.6 miles. Just enjoy this now, though, with Valentino Rossi riding. Now, look at this. We've seen the graphics. He's not far off from lapping Marc Marquez. Marc Marquez is up at Tramonto. How would the crowd here love to see that happening? Nothing against Marc Marquez, but they'd love that, wouldn't they?
They certainly would. If you just tuned in, big mistake by Marc Marquez up at the Rio corner as he was battling for the lead with Valentino Rossi. Dropped him right back down the field. He did get the bike restart. Seemed to lose the front end as he went into the corner. And now he's riding a very lonely race, not quite at the back of the field, but down in 20th place. He won't let Valentino Rossi lap him, I can absolutely assure you that. And nothing apart from winning the race would please Valentino Rossi more than lapping Marc Marquez. This takes you back through the years, this performance, doesn't it? This is the man that's won 9 world titles. He hasn't won in Italy since he won at Misano here 5 years ago. He hasn't won a Grand Prix since Assen last year when, of course, many of the top riders were out of action with injury. But when he had to be aggressive with Marquez, he was. And now riding at the front. And the team just wait. There's nothing they can do now but wait.
Yeah, Alex Briggs down there. So many people involved, aren't there, in running a team and helping to manage the rider and prepare the bike and so on. But at this point, it is literally down just to the one rider on the motorcycle. Ironic, I thought, as well, by the way, that where Marquez crashed is exactly where Rossi crashed in opening practice in the rain on Friday afternoon.
We ride with Andrea Iannone, just a one finger on that brake. That's how powerful they are. He's running a very good 5th place. I think he's had a couple of 5th places already this season, hasn't he, Andrea Iannone? Very impressive. He will join Andrea Dovizioso, who's fighting for 3rd place with Pedrosa at the moment in that factory Ducati team next season. And certainly Pedrosa has not got away from Dovizioso. There's looking at the gap at the front. Keep just checking it out. It's around 2.5 seconds all the time if Lorenzo is going to start to make really big progress, as he did on Pedrosa at Brno 2 races ago with that different choice of front tyre. He's got to start making, got to see a little glimmer soon, haven't we?
Yeah, and Pedrosa's still on target then for his 200th point scoring result in the World Championship. He'd become only the 4th rider actually ever to do that, finishing the points 200 times after Rossi, Capirossi and Barros. We know Rossi as well is very much on target now for surpassing the 5,000 point milestone. So let's see what happens. Rossi then on target for his first victory and Yamaha's first victory of the 2014 season. What would this do in the battle for 2nd in the World Championship as well, because he's 10 points behind Danny Pedrosa at the moment. So he'd be, is it 1 point behind him, I believe?
1 point behind him. Right, this is the battle a little bit further back. This is the fight between Marquez and Rossi very early on in the race, and that's Lorenzo that leads the way. So I just had to really pick it out from the helicopter there. Very fierce, very aggressive. Rossi extremely aggressive. You have to give what you get, don't you? And he's certainly given Marc Marquez not a taste of his own medicine, but just showing him, don't mess with me. You can be as aggressive as you like. I will be aggressive straight back at you. Agostini, Ago, absolutely loved that, didn't he? Look at his face.
He was feeling the heartbeat, wasn't he, there with Lynn Jarvis?
Here we go again, but Rossi won't let him get away with it. You watch this. He had to sit up there. Rossi's back at him.
And this was a really important part of this motorcycle race as well, because at that point, had Marquez gone ahead of Jorge Lorenzo, that might have been the last they saw of him this afternoon. Rossi knew he had to fight back at that point, and then he proceeded to pass his teammate as well, didn't he? Then Marquez did the same. So it was Rossi, Marquez, Lorenzo at that point, and Marquez pushed too hard. He lost the front end into Rio corner. Talking of the front end, this is a replay then of the leader, Valentino Rossi. He's on the medium compound front tyre. We know his teammate behind him is on the harder compound front tyre, and the gap between the two of them is 2.7 seconds.
So that Rossi's opened up just another 2/10, and he just eked out a little bit more. What is there? 9 laps to go. Yeah. There you go. And that's that's the important part, isn't it? The harder compound choice for Jorge Lorenzo as he chases after Valentino Rossi, but it's got to start paying dividends soon because he's 2.7 seconds down. That is the gap. This is Lorenzo. He has won here for the last 3 years. His first pole position of the season. Rossi through turn 6, down this little short straight, this very fast left-hand kink before they get to La Quercia. Brakes now for the left-hander.
And Danny Pedrosa, he's pushing hard as well. It's his personal best lap of the race. It's Marquez we're on board with, though. Pedrosa pushing hard to try and stay ahead of Dovizioso for third place. This is Marquez in the meantime. So we're running 20th in the Grand Prix. Very, very unusual situation to see here.
Well, it was a mistake by Marc Marquez. And for once, that mistake did not, I wouldn't say work in his favour, but he couldn't recover from the mistake. Couldn't get the bike restarted for a long, long time. Once he did, well, he will fight on till the end of the race.
Now this is
further. Bautista and Crutchlow.
Oh, it's a bit too late on the brakes there for Cal Crutchlow. Off onto the runoff area. They were battling there for 8th position. Did he lose a spot to Aleix Espargaro? Well, he didn't at that time, but yes, I can confirm Aleix Espargaro did then go through on the run up to Tramonto. Oh, Rossi taking a lot of curve actually there coming out of turn 15. Look at those laps though. Lorenzo was quickest on lap 17, but the last 2, it was Rossi. Let's just see how much of that gap has decreased now because of the error from Rossi. Over the line, 2.9. It's up to 2.9.
Getting up to nearly 3 seconds now.
He was quicker nonetheless.
Vintage Valentino Rossi, sit back and enjoy it. Jorge Lorenzo, it could be his 4th successive second place. He'd be disappointed with this one, as I think he felt with Marquez out of the way, he must have had a chance, but as it stands at the moment, he's got to start digging into that lead soon, tyre choice or not, as Rossi is just too far in front.
Now here's the battle going on for 3rd place. Danny Pedrosa 7.5 seconds behind the leader. Half a second behind him is Andrea Dovizioso, and they're both travelling quicker now than they have done at any other point in the Grand Prix so far. They're pushing so hard here. They both desperately want that 3rd position. This is the left-hander at La Quercia corner. Iannone still 5th, by the way. Bit of a lonely 5th actually now for Andrea Iannone because Pol Espargaro is 3.7 seconds behind him. Smith still 7th, and it's Bautista. Aleix Espargaro still ahead of Crutchlow, following Crutchlow's off-track excursion, and Andes is 11th, and it's Oyama, Abraham, Redding, and De Angelis. So that's interesting. Scott Redding, not only is he not just the 2nd lead customer Honda, but the 3rd, because it's Oyama leading the way on the RCV 1000R here, and Abraham 2nd in that personal battle going on there.
7.5 laps to go. Danny Pedrosa on course for 3rd place. Dovizioso's hung on to him throughout the race. Well, since Danny Pedrosa got past him, pretty aggressive manoeuvre, wasn't it? Andrea Iannone pushed him out of the way, and Dovizioso came through as well. He's done a good job, Dovizioso, but he's having to work very, very hard indeed to stay with the Honda. 7 laps to go. What's the gap at the front? It's still 2.7 seconds. There is, in fact, it's maybe just a little bit bigger now. There's no sign at the moment that Lorenzo is making any indentation into that lead that Rossi has.
Once again, personal best laps that time around for Pedrosa, Dovizioso and Iannone 3-4-5. This is the deciding moment, though, in many ways of this Grand Prix earlier on in the race. That was the end of things for Marc Marquez out of 2nd position. Yamaha 1-2. Pedrosa goes third from Dovizioso and Iannone. I have to say, he did a brilliant job with the help of the Misano marshals to get that bike restarted.
He did.
And you have to bear in mind as well that many of those marshals will be huge Valentino Rossi fans.
Oh, yeah. That would be the gap in the championship. That's probably quite academic because you feel that Marc Marquez will win the title, but he probably now is not going to win it in Aragon in 2 weeks' time. The interest, as you said, Greg, is Valentino Rossi wins the race here. He will be just 1 point behind Pedrosa in their battle for second place. We ride with the doctor at his home circuit. Crawled under the fence here a few times to watch racing, and probably had a few illegal rides around here on a scooter and nobody was watching.
Just a note on the front tyres, Valentino yesterday in the free practice 4 put a run of about 12 laps in, so obviously now that we've had 21 already, it does look like it is holding up. They wouldn't have known quite how much the tyre would drop off at the end, but it looks to be holding very well. So rather than Lorenzo's tyre gaining any kind of advantage, it's more that Valentino's not losing the advantage that he had at the start.
There is Marquez is taking no prisoners at the back, is he? He just went through Hector Barbara then, who's a former winner here as well, as if to say, I'm annoyed, I'm angry, I'm coming through.
And in front of Marquez now is Brock Parks from the Hunter Valley in Australia, but he's got the Hunter behind him now, hasn't he? Marquez is 19th.
I'd just get out of the way if I was Brock Parks, to be honest with you. Turns 4 and 5 for Valentino Rossi. The team daren't look on. It could be a 1-2 for Yamaha. It could be a win for Valentino Rossi. There's 5.5 laps to go. The celebrations, well, knowing the Italians, they've probably already started, but that may be just a little bit premature. He's at Tremonto. He's coming up towards the Cavoni curve. Yeah, and the tyre's held out, and there's nothing he can do in Jorge Lorenzo. This is Paul Espargaro. Another very, very good ride by the Moto2 World Champion on his debut in MotoGP. It's been a good day for the Tech 3 Yamaha team with Bradley Smith, his teammate, behind him in 7th place.
Yeah, a bit of a lonely ride, isn't it? But it doesn't matter.
There's a few lonely rides
there
out
are,
there,
actually.
isn't it? Yeah, it has spaced itself out a little bit. It's sort of that Marquez really did shuffle the pack around a bit, didn't he?
And who are battling? Well, it's Pedrosa and Dovizioso. They're half a second apart for 3rd and 4th places. Then there's a close fight going on, only 2/10 between Bautista and Aleix Espargaro. So Bautista took advantage of Crutchlow's error, and he's now caught Bautista as well. So let's see whether Aleix can move ahead of Bautista there into 8th place. By the way, Paul Espargaro will be back in front of his brother if things carry on like this for 6th position in the World Championship. But we'll have to see how that pans out with Iannone in the mix there as well, because they're very tight. Only 11 points between the two Espargaros and Iannone at the moment. This is the battle still raging for 3rd place. Pedrosa, look at the lap times. He was actually quicker than the two Yamahas that time around, but they're obviously just controlling the pace now.
If Dovizioso could get in front of him, of course, he would push Pedrosa out of 2nd place in the championship, and Rossi would take over in 2nd place. But it's got a bit academic at the moment because Pedrosa, as we so often see, very, very quick at the end of the race. 4.5 laps to go. Rossi still has that advantage of around 2.7, 2.8 seconds. That surely is enough. And without any commentator's curse, one man you don't think will make a mistake at the front of the race would be Valentino Rossi.
Guys, just a bit of a late update. We've had the bike of Stefan Bradl wheeled back into the box. I know we didn't see the crash, but the team have confirmed to me he is in the truck, but he's absolutely okay, which is good news.
That's good news for Stefan Bradl. Still 5 races for him with the LCR Honda team, but before joining Forward Racing Yamaha, I think Dovizioso's given it his all, don't you? But he's just not quite close enough. Pedrosa's very, very, very hard indeed this last part of the race. Into the Misano corner for Pedrosa. He will just hang on to 2nd place in the championship. Another excellent ride by the Ducati of Andrea Dovizioso. Just get a glimpse of Andrea Iannone in 5th place coming through the start and finish. Gap at the front, 2.7 seconds. The whole of Italy now has got their fingers crossed. And Valentino Rossi do it once again.
Yeah, somebody asked me the other day, said, Greg, do they do a track invasion at Misano as they do at Mugello? And we said, not really, do they generally? But you wouldn't certainly be surprised if there's a few fans on the track here at the end of this race in 3.5 laps time. He really is the master of the situation, the mastermind of the situation, isn't he, Valentino Rossi? We've had all these colour combinations with different tyre compounds and so on, but just battled through. Took the lead then when it mattered from his teammate Jorge Lorenzo. Kept Marquez behind him, And then once Marquez passed Lorenzo and was running second, he lost the front end and crashed out of the race. He is still running, actually. He's passed Brock Parks as well now, up into 18th place. Next target for Marquez is 17th place Michael Laverty on the leading PBM bike. But there's your man at the front. Can the crowd believe what they are seeing?
He's chasing his 107th Grand Prix victory. Jorge Lorenzo from pole position. There's been absolutely nothing he can do. He's going to pick up again 20 points. It would be his 4th successive second place. I think this was the one he thought perhaps he could win. He has got that harder compound front tyre. This is at turn 5. And the Marquez crashed at turn 4. So this is the right-hander before they flick it left through 6.
And it'll be interesting to see what Lorenzo says after the Grand Prix as to whether he thinks this harder front compound tyre was the best thing to do or not. He's certainly running up there in second place, but he's 2.6 seconds behind his teammate Valentino Rossi at the moment. But who knows, he may have thought it even been, well, he obviously thought it would have been even worse if he'd put the medium compound on board. Agostini and Jarvis still looking reasonably nervous, but I think Aga was a little bit more calmer than Lynn Jarvis, wasn't he?
Yeah, right. Down at Crutchlow, this is Valentino Rossi in front of his home crowd, almost in front of his hometown, just 6-7 kilometres away, over his left shoulder at the moment, over the hill to Vula, down at Tramonto. There is 2.5 laps to go, chasing his 107th Grand Prix victory. He fought head-to-head with Marc Marquez, and it was Marc Marquez that made the mistake. Don't take anything away from Valentino Rossi. He caused perhaps the mistake with the way he fought Marquez. He matched him, didn't he, when it came to the crunch, despite there being a 14-year difference in their age. We ride with Dani Pedrosa, who looks pretty safe now in 3rd place.
Yeah, 6.5 tenths of a second now, then back to Dovizioso in 4th spot. Look at the lean angles. Marquez was hitting 61 into the next left-hander, the final corner at the end of the lap. They're only doing around the mid-40s, weren't they, in the rain on Friday afternoon? Obviously nowhere near the same lean angle. 61 as well then for Dani Pedrosa, despite carrying 106 kilometres an hour through the apex of the Misano corner at the end of the lap. There's Dovizioso still running up there in 4th and started 6th on the grid. It has been a good weekend for Ducati. Don't forget, this is a dry weather performance, and he's right up there, as he was at Silverstone, with Dani Pedrosa.
Let's have a look at Dani Pedrosa. Replay. He will just hang in there.
Yeah, so he's
in that second place. It'll be just 1 point, won't it?
So he's 6.2 seconds behind the leader. There is your leader. He's always been spectacular there all weekend long coming out of La Quercia, with the way he cranks his weight over to the left-hand side of that bike into Tramonto for the penultimate time here this afternoon. Rossi is barely a lap away from victory, his 2nd since returning to Yamaha, and it's in Italy as well, of all places.
Stand by for the celebration of all celebrations. 35 years old, 9 times world champion, chasing his 107th Grand Prix victory. He went head-to-head with Marc Marquez, probably the new Valentino Rossi in so many ways, and he's come out on top. Through the left-hander, turn 15. This is Jorge Lorenzo in 2nd place. Turn 16 now as he comes up among the back markers, the Misano corner. 1 lap to go for Valentino Rossi.
Sensible stuff from the back markers. D'Amiglio and Parks moving out of the way, but don't forget, Barber and Parks moving out of the way at the same time. Now Barber's going to try and take advantage of that situation and pass Brock Parks for 19th place, but he's not done so. Parks holds 19th for PBM, Barber 20th for Avintia. Let's not take anything away from Marc Marquez. Obviously, he's absolutely dominated this season and could well win the World Championship when we get to Japan, but do these guys care? Do they, heck?
They're almost nervous as well, aren't they? They're not celebrating as they're going to celebrate at the end of the race. Can anything now go wrong? Half a lap to go through turn 7, down towards La Quercia for the last time for that familiar number 46, Valentino Rossi.
And can Marquez just grab a point? He's 16th. He just needs to catch him past De Angelis to do that, but for the time being, it's all about this man, Valentino Rossi, number 46. It's the Misano crash helmet. He's leading. He's in Italy.
Down at Tramonto, half a lap to go for Rossi. His last win at Misano came 5 years ago. It was his last win in Italy. His last Grand Prix victory came over a year ago at Assen in Holland.
They can't believe it, can they? Just listen to the crowd. This is going to be a monumental celebration. Valentino Rossi is now just 2 corners away.
He threw the
from
right-hander at Caro into turn 15. 1 to go, the Misano corner. They hold their breath at Yamaha. Valentino Rossi, 1 bend to go. The 35-year-old Italian is 1 in front of his home crowd. Rossi back on the top step of the podium.
Rossi's first win of 2014. Yamaha's first win of 2014, a 1-2 finish for the factory Yamaha team. Lynn Jarvis, Giacomo Agostini, reasonably pleased about that one. Pedrosa on the podium.
It's Andrea Iannone finishing in 5th place. Paul Espargaro would finish in 6th place. He's done exactly that, and his teammate Bradley Smith should finish in 7th place. He's done that. So Bradley Smith 7th. We celebrate, though, victory for Valentino Rossi.
And Aleix Espargaro down on the final lap of the race. Can he believe his luck? He was running 8th in the Grand Prix, so Bautista goes 8th, Crutchlow 9th, and Yoni Hernandez up into 10th place. That's disaster for Aleix Espargaro. What a shame. He's done the whole Grand Prix and it all goes wrong on the very last lap. I'll tell you what that does mean, and he's done it anyway. Marc Marquez is into the points because he's passed Camilla. He'll end up 14th here this afternoon unless he can do anything about Alex De Angelis. Over the line, great 11th place for Abraham. Then it's Oyama, Redding, De Angelis, and Marc Marquez. Here he is then coming around to pick up the final point.
Full marks for him to get that bike restarted and continuing in the race. Well, this is a real defeat for Marc Marquez. Bruno, it was he had his problems. This time it was a mistake. So Marc Marquez has finally been beaten. He's been beaten by this man, 14 years his elder. I don't know if he's going to get round the track.
I told you those marshals will probably be Rossi fans. Look at that. There is a fan down there as well by the looks of things. And there'll be more than one of them. They cannot believe what they've just witnessed. Rossi wins again then. Second win, there's Romano Venati, rider for Rossi's Moto3 team. Listen to the crowd. There's almost 55,000 of them here this afternoon. And not that it might, well, I suppose it will matter, but 5,000 points achieved then across his Grand Prix career. More than that now. It would have been 5,000 if he'd finished 4th. So he's done even better than that and picked up the full 25.
Don't think he wants to stop in too many places. This is the fan club that are celebrating with him. Boy, Lorenzo, I think, and you're going to find out when Greg talks to him in a minute, will be very disappointed. Away for him, that's 4 successive second places. It's a great result for Yamaha. And Rossi just 1 point now behind Danny Pedrosa in that battle. Second place in the championship. Well done, Danny Pedrosa, soldiered on. It was a good battle in the end, isn't it? Was with Andrea Dovizioso. And he's restored a little bit of Honda pride. But the headlines, well, certainly everywhere in Italy. Big thumbs up for Valentino Rossi. He's coming up now towards the Cavoni corner. Just listen to the crowd and the reception their hero is getting. Great to see him back, isn't it? And
there
this
you
is
go.
Marc Marquez, is it? That is top class. Hey, not bad for an old one. You have to match me. When it came to the crunch, he fought him face to face, didn't he? And he came out on top.
Yeah, don't forget, this is Rossi's 19th season in the World Championship, but it'll be a 20th next year. At least 2 more years as well. He's already re-signed with Yamaha, just like his teammate here, Jorge Lorenzo. Do you know what as well? I genuinely think Marc Marquez will be pleased for Valentino Rossi to win at home in Italy like that. Of course, he didn't want to side out of the race, but he'll be delighted that it's Rossi who's won, I think.
No, very different scenes from Repsol Honda. Normally we see them oi, 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 and jumping up and down and celebrating away. Not happening this time. This is the man they've come to watch. Here he is now down at the Cavoni corner. Just look at that crowd. Listen to the reception Valentino Rossi is getting. He's won his home Grand Prix. First win of the season, first win in Italy for 5 long years. Well done, Marc Marquez. Very sporting. Got back in the race as soon as he could. He made a mistake. That's got to happen sometimes, even if you're a world champion. And now more and more people are getting onto the track. I think the marshals now are saying, I think the best thing you can do is get back as soon as you can to the start and finish. Listen to that reception. Yeah, I think it's got a rush now, don't you? Well done, Marc Marquez. Sometimes you find out a true world champion in defeat, don't you? This is the mistake coming into the Rio corner.
That's when Valentino Rossi said ciao.
Yeah, he did.
But what did he say to you, Nick, in the press conference on Thursday afternoon? We were talking about finishing second in the World Championship and so on and so forth. He said, I just want to win a race this year.
That's right. He said, that's my aim, is to win a race. Quite emotional, isn't it? It's fantastic. To see him fight head-to-head with Marquez the way he did. I mean, wasn't... You know, it was great him winning an Atom, but that was circumstances in many ways. He met him head-to-head and outfought him when it came to the crunch.
Not even the safety cars almost caught him. It's the slowest slowing down that we've ever seen, but who can blame him?
Dylan, if you were still down in pit lane, I'd be prepared. I think there's going to be one mighty big invasion
they're
in a
climbing
minute.
up on the walls already, so we've got security there. They've actually got 2 blocks down here in pit lane, but the atmosphere is going to be absolutely incredible.
They wait for the arrival. They've been waiting some time, actually, for the arrival of Valentino Rossi. 35 years old. His 107th Grand Prix win. Well done, Andrea Iannone. Excellent ride into 5th place. Really a little bit miffed. Danny Pedrosa really did open him up a bit, didn't he? And then Dovizioso came through as well. But it's still an excellent ride. He will make his way back. I think he's now into pit lane. Past our commentary box window, just about there.
Yamaha 1-2 finish as well, not just their first win of the season, but a 1-2 finish. Rossi leads home. Lorenzo, it was 1.5 seconds for the record in the end.
Celebrations are about to start. One would imagine they would go on probably well into tomorrow, I would suggest. Good job there's no tests here tomorrow, isn't there?
That's Francesco Bagnaia as well there with the curly hair, and Romano Fenati for that matter, the 2 VR46 Moto3 riders.
Good to see Jorge Lorenzo coming straight across and shaking his hand as well. He'd be very disappointed, Jorge Lorenzo, deep down, wouldn't he? Because he must have felt this was a race he could have won, but once the fisticuffs ended, there was only going to be one winner of this race.
I mean, it has been a really difficult season, hasn't it, for Yamaha? It's their first win, the first non-Honda win then of the season. Round 13, this one. Dovizioso, it's good to see, though, isn't it, that he's frustrated in a way. Well, he's not too frustrated, but there will be a little bit frustrated to be off the podium. How far behind the winner was he this time? 5.5 seconds.
Oh, just gets better every race, doesn't it, for him? Better every single race. Ah, that's good to see. Well done, Jorge Lorenzo. Here we go. Lock up your daughters.
Where's Dylan?
You still there, Dylan?
Yeah, I'm hidden away, but I managed to get into Parc Fermé. Made the rookie mistake last year of being too slow and couldn't get in. So no, I'm still here, still here.
I would imagine it's amazing down there, isn't it?
It's absolutely fantastic. When they start chanting, I'll try and open the microphone if I
please,
can and see if you can hear it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Here they come.
I think we will hear it, don't we?
Yeah.
I think we will.
And
Look,
why not? Why shouldn't? There's people jumping off fences.
They'll be taking all the monitors off pit wall, that's for sure, because the pit boards and all that sort of thing will be quickly taken into the garages.
Well done, Pol Espargaro, another excellent ride. Moto2 winner here last year, 6th this time round. So a really good day for the Tech 3 team with Valentino Rossi celebrating with a drink, and Bradley Smith, who finished in 7th place. Takes his earplugs out now. Don't think he probably needed them to hear the crowd cheering, do you?
No,
just a bit of quiet now. This is exciting when he goes on the podium. Oh, wow. I think there was a track invasion, was it, at Monza for Formula 1? And no disrespect to Formula 1, it can't be anything like the passion we're experiencing at the moment, because this is Valentino Rossi country. Here's Bradley Smith. Yeah, at last, some hard-earned points for Bradley Smith. 7th place. You won't be happy with that. But well, after all the bad luck he's had, he'll be pleased. It's been a good day for the team, as I say, with Pol Espargaro finishing in 6th. Valentino Rossi shaking hands with absolutely anybody who wants to shake hands with him.
Yeah, look at this. Cameramen, interviewers, Marshall.
He may shake hands with you in a minute, Greg.
He may well do. I've got to make my way over. Somehow I've got to make my way over from the commentary box across the paddock to the interview room.
There we go. At the end, it was a 1.5 second gap between Valentino Rossi and Jorge Lorenzo. Dani Pedrosa in third place after a good battle with Andrea Dovizioso. Then Andrea Iannone, Pol Espargaro, Bradley Smith, Alvaro Bautista and Cal Crutchlow in 9th place. 10th spot was Johnny Hernandez, who's had a really good weekend. Then Carol Abraham, the leading open class Honda, Hiroshi Oyama, Scott Redding, Alex De Angelis, and Marc Marquez picking up a single point on that last lap. Bad luck for Aleix Espargaro on that last lap when he crashed out. Story of the race, a head-to-head confrontation between Rossi and Marquez. Rossi came out on top when Marquez tried to get back at him. He went down at the Rio corner and Rossi then held firm to win. Marquez obviously still leads the World Championship, but 1 point between Pedrosa and Rossi in their battle for 2nd place. Listen to that crowd.
Do you want me to open the mic?
Please do. Yeah, and that's not even on the podium yet. So if he can get to the podium. A bit further down, there was Bradley Smith 10th, Bautista 11th, Scott Redding, Cal Crutchlow, Oyama. Johnny Hernandez says it's a good weekend. Carl Abraham moves up a point, moves up a place. Been a good ride by Carl Abraham, took full advantage of the situation. And the leading open class Honda rider. 2 weeks' time, we're in Aragon. Remember what happened there last year, coming together between Marc Marquez and Dani Pedrosa. I think we're going to have an equally close battle. From all corners of the Misano circuit, the crowd flood on to the start and finish straight. Here is the race-winning manoeuvre. It seems like a long time ago, doesn't it, when Valentino Rossi took the lead from Jorge Lorenzo.
It does
Marc
so
Marquez
much
then didn't know what lay ahead for him, did he?
And this was tremendous, wasn't it? Lorenzo threw on the inside of Rossi at that point. Rossi moves back ahead.
Oh, Tramoto corner. Brilliant stuff.
You have to think with Pedrosa as well. Don't forget he was not quite 100% happy in the warm-up this morning. Was he making a few changes? I wonder how comfortable he was feeling in that Grand Prix, but no disrespect to Honda, but
what
that's what it's all about. Yeah.
That's what it's all about. The passion. Local boy makes good.
Does indeed. First win in Italy then since 2009. That was right here at Misano as well in the San Marino Grand Prix. His girlfriend's in the middle of that bunch. There she is. A little bit tearful, perhaps.
Yeah, it could be, and rightly so. It is quite emotional, I've got to say. Perhaps we felt at the end of Ducati, his career was coming to an end. He then signed a new contract with Yamaha this year. He won a Grand Prix last year, took full advantage of that and in the circumstances. This one was a straight fight with a man that really has stolen his crown in so many ways. And Rossi came out on top.
Yeah, don't forget that, how people were writing off Valentino Rossi. Would they have believed at the start, or let's say halfway through 2011, 2012, that this would be happening now, 2 years down the road?
Yeah, and now his next aim, he said his aim was to win a Grand Prix. I'm sure his next aim now is to take over 2nd place in the championship from Dani Pedrosa. 1 point separates them.
Saw the helmet as well. Bit of motivation this weekend with that. It's got handprints on there, the paw prints of his dogs, all sorts of different colours. He's still down there in Parc Fermé giving media interviews. And also down there, you can see...
It's Carol Abraham. Isn't that good to see? The leading open class rider.
Yeah, because Aleix Espargaro, of course, crashed on the final lap of the race. We're not quite sure what happened there, but yeah, Carol Abraham, great result this afternoon. 11th place. So we moved ahead of Hiroshi Oyama, that means, because Oyama was leading for the customer Hondas earlier on. There he is, the Czech rider.
Yeah, well pleased. Somebody who worked very hard, overcome a lot of injuries in the last couple of years, but rewarded with a thumbs up. Right. If you think this was noisy, prepare for the podium. Valentino Rossi back on the top step after a year. First, he's showing us, and first he is. Yamaha's first win of the season. Rossi's first win in Italy for 5 years, and now chasing second place in the World Championship.
Brilliant stuff then for Rossi. Nick, I might say goodbye to you now and try and make my way across the paddock to the interview room.
Now do these interviews.
Look at that.
You see that little box right at the end there? That's where you've got to make your way to. They've changed it now.
Where?
It's right at the far end of the circuit. Off you go, Greg. Great afternoon. Moto 3, Moto 2, but all the headlines will be about one man, 35 years old, from Tavula, just over the hill from the Misano circuit. His 107th Grand Prix victory. Valentino Rossi wins here in Italy, his 81st Premier Class win. Italy rules in Misano. The team now wait for the podium celebrations. Greg's putting his tin helmet on. There are the trophies, of course, with the number 58, and I absolutely guarantee Valentino Rossi will dedicate this victory to his old friend, Marco Simicelli. One of those special afternoons in Grand Prix racing, when you're around, when you see things like this happen. Nobody left in the stands. They're all on the track. Listen to this cheer. Any moment now, he will be making his way onto the top step of the podium. There's Dani Pedrosa. There is Jorge Lorenzo. Peloto, the president of the FIM. We are ready to go. The podium ceremony here. Round 13 of the MotoGP World Championship. And a return to the top step for 35-year-old Valentino Rossi. Dani Pedrosa first, Jorge Lorenzo second. Now just listen to the reception for the doctor. Well, if that doesn't make you catch your breath, nothing will. Of course, with his new crew chief as well. It's another great day for him. So, let the ceremony start. First of all, it's a tremendous win. Constructors win for Yamaha. First and second. And in third place on the podium, hangs on to second place in the championship by his fingernails, Dani Pedrosa. Nasser Khalif here, of course, the man behind the success of the Grand Prix in Qatar. In second place, that's 4 successive second places for Jorge Lorenzo, who's won here for the last 3 years. But it's the day they've been waiting for in Italy for over a year. Valentino Rossi back on the top step of the podium. His first win in Italy for 5 years. We celebrate with the doctor.